This Crev's corner, the ball is in your court. Swish.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my podcast, Crev's Corner. I am your host, Brayden Krevling, and today we have a reoccurring guest, Arrick Wilson. I'm going to let him take the floor and kind of introduce himself in Courtside Talk with Arrick.
What is going on? What is going on? It's Arrick Wilson from Courtside Talk with Eric. It's your boy. Just here again with my man Braden. Have another great convo, and I haven't been on here in a while, but I'm really excited to be back on here. I'm definitely for sure going to have him on my podcast soon. So just really ready to have another conversation.
Yeah, it's exciting talking to you, Eric, about there's been a lot of stuff happening in the NBA that we haven't talked about. I haven't had a podcast in 2 weeks, just dealing with some other stuff, relocating and stuff like that. And we go back and forth sometimes talking from time to time, but I'm glad to jump on another podcast with you. So today's subject is our top 5 hottest takes of the 2021 NBA season. As if you guys follow me and Eric, we are both big NBA fans, and that's what a lot of our podcasts talk about. So we will start at 5 as our not hottest and go down to number 1 as our hottest take we have this year. So Eric, start us off. What is your 5th hottest take this year?
There's been a lot of talk about this guy in Philadelphia named Ben Simmons and how he's really bad and how he's trash, but he's averaging 15, 8, and 7, and he's a defensive player of the year candidate. I feel like he's probably one of the best in the league. We should put some respect on his name. And I don't really think, coming as a person who likes to watch players be a playmaker more than a scorer, I think that Ben Simmons deserves some credit. We should give this man his flowers. He's not been the greatest. He hasn't been the greatest playmaker, but he's been one of the best playmakers and defensive players for the 76ers. And I would even say he's better than Joel Embiid on the defensive side.
Oh,
Definitely on the defensive side. Definitely on the defensive side. I'm not talking about offensively. He runs away with that offensively, but definitely on the defensive side. But yeah, I just feel like he's not bad. Coming into the season, and a lot of people say he was overrated, and a lot of people said he was bad. But he's not that bad. He's decent, but he's not that bad.
no, I like Ben Simmons. I'm definitely a Ben Simmons guy. All my boys, when we talk about it, I think Ben Simmons is a legit defensive player of the year. I think he's run away with that trophy. And I think him and Joel Embiid can work if they want it. If they want to make it work and the personalities work out. I don't even think that's a hot take, but that is my agreement. We are siding with each other on that. I think Ben Simmons is a good player and a decent all around. I think he deserves a lot of hate because he can't shoot the ball, but he does everything else at an all-star level, and that's why he gets in the all-star game all the time. He's going to make all NBA teams continuously throughout his career. So I think he's here for the NBA to stay. Staying in the East, my 5th hottest take. This is a guy from Boston. I think Jason Tatum is a top 5 or 6 NBA player in the East. He's shooting, or he averages 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. But really, when we talk about the East, the only players that I think are better than Jason Tatum right now are Joel Embiid, Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then after that, it's starting getting nitpicky with Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum is one of the better small forwards in this league. When you're talking about LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, KD, he's not on that level yet, but I do think he's one of the top 5 or 6 players in the East at this point.
I mean, part of me wants to agree with you because the East has had a history of having horrible teams that's not even being able to get past LeBron James. So, I mean, of course, I would try to agree with you, but I don't know about sixth. Thinking about it, I can't really name any of the players off the top of my head right now, but there's some pretty good guys, and he's more of a two guy to me. He's
Yeah,
not a number one guy in my opinion. And so I probably put him maybe 10ish,
for a for a
maybe.
for a non-contender, he's a number 1 though. I don't think the Celtics are seriously contenders yet this year. Now
Yeah.
preseason I thought that they were contenders, but 6 isn't. I don't think 6 is ridiculous when we're talking about it. Who would you rather have, him or Beal?
Bill.
Really, I think Jason Tatum brings more to the floor night in and night out. Now I do think Tatum has a better surrounding cast, which makes his stats look better. And I think when we talk about Beal, we've had multiple discussions about this Wizards team. That team is lost night in, night out. Um, Jason Tatum is playing with a veteran like Marcus Smart. He is playing with an all-star in Jalen Brown. He's playing with a former all-star in Kemba Walker. So I think that this Celtics team can get some stuff around and make a good turnaround going into the playoffs. And I think Jason Tatum can lead them as a one, but I don't know if he's your number one on a championship team.
Yeah, I think I agree with your last statement about Jason Tatum. They can possibly, grow into both they both can possibly grow into ones. But, right now it's just looking like two Robins together, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
if we're really looking at it, it's a Robin and Jason Tatum face forcing to be the Batman when he's really Robin, and it's the other guy facing to be a Robin. So I mean, I don't know about 6. I'll have to check in on some of the players in the Eastern Conference. It's just a blank right now, just thinking about guys. But yeah, I have to think about it. I have to think about it.
All right, we'll stay with me on the four. We'll stay in the East. I think James Harden is more valuable to the Brooklyn Nets than Kyrie Irving. Now, I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I'm a James Harden guy. So here's my multiple reasons. Harden averages 5 more assists than Kyrie. In a point guard position, I think that is super valuable. He averages 3 more assists, and he scores just as efficient as Kyrie Irving does. And here is one of my main reasons why I say this. I think James Harden's a better basketball player than Kyrie Irving, no doubt about it. When you put them both as Batman's number ones on their team, I think James Harden does a way better job at that job than Kyrie Irving does. I think Harden has the ability to take over games um, more efficiently than Kyrie. They both are people who can take over games. And with Kyrie, you don't know if you're going to have a night in, night out. I mean, he's got some personal issues. He misses some games here and there. But don't get me wrong, when James Harden's healthy, he's playing. Like, that's just that simple. Kyrie missed some personal reasons, and that's fine. But that's why I would rather have James Harden, as he's more valuable in a sense where if he's not hurt, he's on the floor with KD helping that Brooklyn team win.
Yeah, I think this one's a no-brainer. I agree. I think he's around 2-time or 1-time MVP in James Harden.
Mm-hmm.
He can almost do everything on the court. I think he's definitely without them. They would not be where they are. His playmaking has been off the charts. As of right now, I think he has like 11 assists. I think.
Yeah, he's tied with 10. He has 10.9 assists, tied with Russell Westbrook as the most assists per game.
Yeah, he's
Like
doing
averaging.
great for the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing great for the Nets. I think that's a no brainer. Kyrie, he's a great player, but like we just said, he's a Robin. He's a
Mm-hmm.
Robin. I feel like James Harden is definitely a Batman. Like KD is a Batman, and that's what makes that Nets team so dangerous. They got 2 Batmans and 1 Robin. I might get a little hate from this, but it's we've seen it as even when Kyrie Irving was in Boston, he didn't look well being the Batman. He wasn't a well Batman. You got to be a good Batman in this NBA league. So I'm definitely no brainer gonna have to agree with you here.
Yeah, and definitely. Sorry to cut you off, but when you're talking about Batman, it's more of a off when the ball's not in your hands. It's more of a chemistry thing. Kyrie didn't do a good job dealing with the young Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart. Even though they were buddies, he didn't deal with that on-court chemistry. James Harden, no matter what personnel he gets thrown at, PJ Tucker, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, different misfits that their game's not going to work out. He's still leading the Rockets to 4 seeds, second rounds. Even if he can't bring him a championship down in Houston like he wanted to, it still made it work. Versus Kyrie and the Celtics, they had all the talent in the world and they came up short.
Yeah, like I said, I think that Boston was probably the right fit, wrong time. I think for both scenarios, because Jason Tatum, he was great, but he's not Jason Tatum how he was now. He developed into one of the best stars like he is in the NBA right now. So, but definitely, I definitely agree with you. Like, no, not to get me wrong, saying a player is a Robin is nothing wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with saying a player is a Robin, but I just, thinking back historically, Kyrie's a Robin, and nothing's wrong with that. Like I said, but he's a great player, but he's just not stacking up to James Harden.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is your fourth hottest take?
Now, this one I don't really think is hot. I just brought this off on the top of my head. I've heard it from certain people, but I got Luca. He might become the next LeBron James / Kobe / Michael Jordan. just to see what he's doing over there with the Mavericks. He's averaging 29, 8, and 9. He just hit a 3-point floater yesterday. To be, I think it was Memphis. I think they played Memphis. Oh my gosh, this kid is crazy good. And he's the right. He's just sensational to watch, man. And he can do almost everything. He can play make, he can shoot. His shooting might be a little bad at sometimes, but when he needs a clutch bucket, he can do that. So I think he might be the one to take the crown for best player in the world for a few years. I'm really thinking that he might become one of those next generational players like we had with Bron, Kobe, and MJ. Might be too much of a hot take for number 4.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely when you're comparing players to Michael Jordan, LeBron, and MJ, or Michael Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron, those are big names and big shoes to fill. I don't know if I'm ready to put Luka in that conversation yet. Maybe give me some more years. You know what I mean? LeBron didn't look like he was going to match up with Michael Jordan his first couple years in Cleveland. Kobe struggled a couple. Kobe didn't even start his first couple years, so maybe give us some more sample. Give us a year or two. Give it a year where he's got a good squad. I mean, he's got Kristaps Porzingis, and they're struggling at a 7 seed. So like, I don't. You gotta give me more time. So we can look at this statement in 3 years, and you could give me, and I can have a way better eyeball on that take rather than just right now. He's playing good. And obviously me saying this doesn't do any justice that he just had a great game last night on ESPN. But I just think that this is too close and he hasn't had enough games to make that kind of statement.
Yeah, I agree with you. What you just said. Mavericks, they gotta move fast and put some great players around this kid. They gotta move fast and put some, because you can't have Kristaps Porzingis being his number 2.
We
The
talked about we talked about the
Mr. Injury prone himself. When he was healthy, he was a unicorn. He could, when he was with the Nets and he was healthy, the Knicks, excuse me, he was a unicorn. He was great. He was going to be one of the best young players coming in the NBA. Now he's just Kristaps.
one of my boys
He was.
one of my boys, shout out Caleb Hauser, told me in 2015 or 16 that Kristaps Porzingis was going to win the MVP.
I mean, he's still.
He's young, but he's hurt a lot, and we've talked about the lack of defense he brings to the floor night in, night out. And if you're Mark Cuban, you gotta move fast because Kristaps Porzingis or Luka Doncic hasn't signed that extension yet, and it might be better for him in his career to move on from the Mavericks and explore other options. You know what I mean? I'd like to see him and Giannis work together. That'd be a cool duo to look at in Milwaukee. That you're telling me that wouldn't be a fun duo to watch?
No, that's just scary saying that. Don't say that, man. Don't say that.
That'd be a fun duo to watch. But definitely, Luka's good. Luka's one of the better, if not the best, young player in this league, and he's gonna be fun to watch for these next couple of years. What is your third hottest take? We'll stay with you.
Oh, you're gonna love this one. You're gonna eat this one up. Number 3, guy was my favorite player in middle school. I loved him. I became a fan of the fan base because of him. Even with when their star player left for the one of the best teams in the NBA, my man Russell Westbrook. Is it not washed? He's not washed, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
He's
yes.
averaging 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists. Like as we said, he's tied with James Harden for one of the for the assist record in the NBA. He's not washed. They had a horrible start, but maybe they just needed time to get together because they're not bad right now. They're winning some games. They're at the 12th seed as we speak. If they win a couple more games, you see with teams falling down like the Hornets, like the Knicks. If those guys just keep losing games and they get into that 10th spot to play that play-in tournament, you might have some people backtracking their statements. They should be backtracking their statements as of right now because this man is balling. They might be losing a couple of games and they might win a couple of games, but this man is balling. Shout out to my man Russell Westbrook. He's not washed.
No, everyone witnesses because on podcast number 9, me and Eric were arguing about Russell Westbrook when I called for teams starting to trade for him. So crazy what 2.5 weeks have changed. But no, I'm gonna come up with an article about Russell Westbrook. Check it out on KrevsCorner.com. I have a take later down my list about Russell Westbrook, kind of along the same lines. But yeah, I mean, you know how I stand with him. I do think the Wizards are bad. Like I do. Like I'm. That's no argument. Outside of Beal and Westbrook, no player on that team can chew gum and dribble the ball down half court at the same time. Like, and Westbrook's getting these triple doubles, and they win in a lot of these games. They're coming down. And an interesting thing about the East, in all seriousness, an interesting thing about the East is when you look at the 4 seed Hawks and the 12 seed Wizards, there's only a couple games separating them. So, in all reality, if these teams go on little 2 or 3 game losing streaks, you got teams like the Wizards and teams in the lower stature of the Eastern Conference can rise up if they just get on nice in 5 games, win 4 out of the 5. You know what I mean? They can move up 3 or 4 spots.
Yeah, without Lonzo, it's looking like he's not going to play the rest of the season. Hornets are definitely, they're definitely my pick for one of those teams that's going to lose their spot. The Knicks are a pretty close candidate. Also, they want to stay out of that
The Hawks,
play-in
the Hawks
tournament.
are looking good right now, but when you get down to the crunch time last 15 games, what are they gonna do? You know what I mean? They don't got. I love Trey Young, but they don't got a guy that can take over a game like a Bradley Beal or something like that. Do you think
Trey Young can't take over a game, man?
like
No.
down in fourth quarter? Trey Young ain't. You're
Yes, he
taking.
can.
Wait, are you taking like Trey Young over guys like Jason Tatum, Beal, who can close the game out?
Maybe
when
Bill.
when you're
Maybe
when you're
Bill.
saying like guys who can close games out, like a Bradley Beal, a Jason Tatum, I would take Julius Randle as my closer when it comes down to the last 3 minutes than Trey Young. Yeah, Trey Young can create fouls. Trey Young can create fouls. That's the only part about his game.
Are you sick today, Braden? You got a little fever or something? Did you just say Julius Randle is a closer more than Trey Young?
Julius Randle has been doing great closing games out.
Julius, yeah, he's great, but Julius Randle over Trey Young.
All right, maybe I'm bad.
Okay,
Like,
thank
are we
you.
talking like one possession, or are we talking about like last 3 minutes, ball in hand?
No. You said closer. So if we're
I'm
talking
talking
closer.
like
That's
last.
probably around the fourth. That's like the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I would take last 3 minutes. Julius Randle up top, do work. Trey Young is what, 5'10", 5'9", 5'10"?
And Trey Young can almost. Trey Young, do you not see the bombs Trey Young shoots?
Trey Young ain't even an all-star this year. Julius Randle an
Okay,
all-star this year.
okay, bro. You might want to do your next take, man, because I
All
don't
right,
see
my
the
next take.
blast.
My next take. We're going out west for this one. We've been in the East for a minute. We're going out west. The Los Angeles Clippers are not NBA contenders this year. Are not. I don't think they're playing well. I don't know what's wrong, but I have not seen. I mean, they were trailing to the Pistons by 10 at one point in the fourth quarter last night. They came back and won, but I do not think they're legit contenders this year.
I'm gonna have to disagree, man. They played the last couple of games without Kawhi Leonard, and he's great. He's had a pretty good season, but they got a playmaker and Rondo. And he's definitely gonna be playoff Rondo. So I
That's the
mean,
thing is they do have
they
playmakers.
basically still have the same.
They do have playmakers. I'm not even gonna front about that. They do have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and those guys can take over games. But I just don't. I don't know. I might be back. I might be wrong. And I think another team that's in the situation in the East is the Bucks. I don't see the Bucks as a legit team to win the championship this year. Do you do?
Have you not seen Giannis
I would see.
playing
I
how
would
Giannis is
definitely.
playing?
I would definitely put my chips in on the 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets over the Bucks this year.
Got to give my man Giannis a chance, man. I'm tired of the Giannis slander, man.
It's not even Giannis slander. It's the people around Giannis slander.
No, it's Giannis slander because you don't believe Giannis can bring those people to the playoffs and go to
Guess
the
what team has
title.
stopped Giannis? Guess what team has stopped Giannis every year in the playoffs? The Celtics. The Celtics, who don't even have a center, who haven't had a center in how many years? Stop Giannis.
Because they didn't have any defense. They got defense over the offseason.
Drew Holiday is.
They acquired Drew Holiday is one of the best defensive players in the league. Have you not heard Kevin
Yeah, but
Durant say?
you're saying they don't got defense, but they have an MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year on their team.
That's one person. It's a team sport, isn't it?
You're saying though that they don't have
Isn't
defense
it a
when
team
the
sport,
Defensive
Braden,
Player of
man?
the Year is on their team.
It's a team sport.
You're saying though, the team with defense wins the defensive. Like the
Did
Jazz.
Michael do it without Rodman?
Rudy
Michael do
Gobert
it
wins
without-
Defensive Player of the Year because the Jazz are great defensively. You can't
Did
say
Rodman do it without Pippen?
what Michael. No, Michael didn't do it without Pippen. We've had this debate before. That's why I think LeBron's the GOAT, is because Michael Jordan had Pippen. But I'm saying you can't say the Bucks didn't have defense when they're winning Defensive Player of the Year trophies for their guys.
Yeah, that might have been a very outlandish take for me. You know, I was just caught up in the moment.
So you go with your two, because you're definitely not gonna like my two. I can definitely tell this is getting up.
Yeah, you dislike this team, I feel like, as if, but I mean, you may not. This is just quite and simple. I might just say one sentence and just let you go on your rebuttal. But Nets are winning the championship.
I definitely don't disrespect that take at all, because I think they're, if not the favorites, the second favorites. I think they're the favorites to win the championship, actually.
In my eyes, they're the favorites by a long mile. Shout out to LaMarcus Aldridge. He just played his last game. He retired because of heart condition he has. But they got to play Griffin. They're still low on centers. They got to play my man DeAndre Jordan.
All NBA.
Going against my man Giannis and Joel Embiid. But I still got him. You can't beat a three-headed monster in James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. I just think, I in the beginning, like I've said on your podcast, like I've said, I don't think they have enough positions and all. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. You see how many times they've won, and they almost took the first seed from the 76ers last night, but they lost. And that's without Kevin Durant. And it was a very close game, but
it was without Kevin Durant and James Harden. I watched that game. And the thing about the Nets that I think is severely underrated is even when Durant and Harden and Kyrie and Blake Griffin, you got those big names. But past that, you got some dogs on the bench that are ready to eat. They're hungry. They were down 21. They were down 21 to the 76ers and took it, tied the ball game.
You don't have nothing on the bench. Stop it.
No, they don't got big names, but they got young legs that are hungry.
No.
They got young legs that are hungry, and
you're gonna need some young stars. You're not gonna need young legs.
I mean, I know that the playoffs are all about big names, but I mean, Bruce Brown, he's a good defensive piece.
Yeah, Bruce Brown's decent.
You're
gonna lead them. Larry Shamet.
Well, you got that Claxton.
Claxton's decent.
Claxton clogging lanes. He ain't gonna let Giannis just walk all over him. You got Shamet. Shamet knocked down a bucket or two.
Here. I think, I'm not sure what the source was, but who's their bench player? He played for them earlier in the season, but he got hurt. Supposed to be out for the rest of the season.
I don't know what's up. Why? Robertson?
No. Let me check. Let me look him up. I'm sorry, man.
Oh, you're good. No, but I definitely don't disagree with that take. I think losing LaMarcus Aldridge is something, but I don't think it's everything. I think it's definitely losing a big defender that would help guard guys like Joel Embiid.
Yeah. There's a possibility of Spencer Dinwiddie.
Oh,
Dinwiddie? His name wrong. Coming back. There's a possibility that he might come back. Now, if he's on the bench, there's no question they're winning the championship.
That'd be a good pick. That'd be not a pickup, but a good asset for them moving forward in the playoffs. All right, so for my number two, I can already feel you coming on me for this one. Outside of Damian Lillard and Steph Curry, you cannot name me a point guard that's doing better than Russell Westbrook this season. I'll give you a second. you got to match up with 21 points, 11 rebounds, and nearly 11 assists and triple doubles left and right. Sure, he doesn't have the defense of Ben Simmons, but outside of that 3-4 spot, what point guard matches up with him? Because I count Luka at 2. I think Luka's a 2. I don't really count him as a true point guard. Luka shoots the ball too much to be a true point guard. A true point guard.
All right. So with that outlandish statement, I'm gonna try to keep my composure. Like I said, I gave my man Russell Westbrook. I gave him his props. He's been great. But there's a lot more better players than him this season, and it's sad for me to say.
Just start. I'll let you. I'll give you 30 seconds. Just start listing point guards out that are doing better than Russell Westbrook this year. Not named Steph Curry and Dame Lillard, because Kyrie's missed 20, 30 games this year.
Kyrie definitely won. His stats and another guy. You're
telling me you would rather
another guy that I have. His stats might not be like Russell Westbrook, but his impact is huge. Chris Paul averaging 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists. People could say that he is a MVP candidate because of what he does for his teams. I have another one. This is my last one.
I'll give you Chris Paul.
Luka Doncic is a point guard because he's a playmaker and he brings the ball up for the Mavericks. So there's no question. Those are 3 guys. If I had a little bit more time, I could tell you more people better than Russell Westbrook right now.
So you would tell me, all right, so you're taking Chris Paul, who has 6 points less than Westbrook and 5 assists less than Russell Westbrook and 2 rebounds less than, or 2 less and 6 rebounds. All right,
yes.
We'll give you Chris Paul. I just don't see. I think Luka Doncic is a 1 by force. I think on any other team he's a natural 2. But okay, so when we're talking about Kyrie Irving, would you rather have? All right, well here I'll do this. Would you have point guard A 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists for 30 games, or would you have point guard B 21 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists for 50 games? Because Kyrie misses every other night. Kyrie's missing.
Kyrie Irving is a top guard in this league, no question.
Top guard, yes.
And when he plays, that's years ahead of Russell Westbrook. Does not matter. His liability is him missing games.
That's my argument.
But does that matter to me if I was a GM? No. Take your time off. I give you your time. We have other players haven't done this. Yes, other players have not done this. But, give this man his time. He comes back and he plays great for that Nets team. So that's all you got to do is just get prepared and be. I'm not taking
he comes back. He comes back and he averages 6 points more and 6 rebounds less and 5 assists less.
Russell Westbrook is a stat patter. He's great, but he's a stat patter.
He wins. How can you say he's a stat patter when he wins? With triple doubles, he has a 70% win percentage.
He doesn't win. They don't win.
We talk about how bad the Wizards are.
Look at the other player. Look at the other players that I have listed.
So is Bradley Beal a stat patter because he doesn't win?
No, Bradley Beal just has points because he's on a bad team.
Russell Westbrook is on the same team.
But Russell Westbrook's on a bad team too.
That's what I'm saying. They're on the same.
So he's a stat patter.
So just because Westbrook averages 5 more assists than Beal and 5 more rebounds than Beal makes him a stat patter on the same bad team. I'm just trying to follow you, Eric. I'm trying to follow you.
What are Chris Paul? They have what are they?
Chris Paul, yeah, I'm giving
Chris Paul and the Suns are, I think, second in the West.
Second in the West,
close to the Jazz. And
but they have
Kyrie Irving and the Nets are second in the East.
On a super team, on a stacked team.
Look at his stats.
Yeah, I said it. 6 rebounds less and 5 assists less when healthy, when on the floor, when not missing games for personal reasons. Whenever there's
a hot take. That's a hot take.
Whenever there's a bad event happening, I mean, he's missing 20 games. Is he playing tonight? And he's healthy. He's healthy. Is he playing tomorrow? He just ain't playing. Like I want him to
Okay,
play.
Greg.
If he's playing, if he's
You
playing.
should have put that as your number one.
No, my number one, I feel strongly about. My number one, Nikola Jokic is not an MVP and not even the best center or big man in the game. You got a guy in Philly who's the best center in the league in Joel Embiid, averaging 4 more points and just as many rebounds with a defensive impact. Nikola Jokic can't guard a chair if it stood right in front of him.
I am speechless.
I think
Yes,
Nikola Jokic.
yes. Yeah, I understand. He doesn't do defense. He's basically a strictly offensive guy.
I
But
think that's a liability when we go into the playoffs.
26 points, 11 rebounds, and nine, nine assists from a center. That's probably something we've never seen done, except for Wilt when he averaged 10 just because he wanted to.
Yeah, but you got Joel Embiid with 30, 11, and 3. Yeah, the assists are down. But he's playing defense. He's shutting
Now,
people down.
let me explain. I agree with you saying that Jokic is not better than Embiid. Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Last year, Jokic was better than Embiid, in my opinion. But this year, Embiid's on another level. But no question, he is on the MVP ladder. No question.
On the
No question.
MVP ladder, and is the MVP because he's looking like he's gonna win it, which I think going down this home stretch with Jamal Murray, I think is gonna tell a lot of how legit Jokic really is. But I just don't see. I don't think he, with a guy I'm talking to that values offense just as much as defense, and you're like, I'm just saying, I don't think. I think and now you're gonna get really upset with me. I think I would rather healthy to healthy. I'd take Anthony Davis over Nikola Jokic. I would take Anthony Davis.
No question. No question.
So I'm saying with Joel Embiid and AD healthy, I think they're better than Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, that's no question. AD when he's healthy, he's
Yeah,
he's top 10 player in the league.
yeah,
Both and he's top 10 on defense and offense.
that's what I'm saying. The defensive presence separates guys like Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid from Nikola Jokic. Now, what he does with the ball on the offensive side is special, but I don't know, man. I
Yeah,
don't like Jokic. I'll be honest. I don't really like his play style either.
I think like I said, like I've said on this pod multiple times, it is all on you value. Yes, I value players who play both sides of the ball, but like I've said, I love to see when guys can be the playmaker, and he's the playmaker at the center position. And like I was gonna say, the Nuggets, without Jamal Murray, that's a big hit, but they still have a playmaker in Jokic. So I think they will slip down in the rankings a little bit, but I don't think they're going to be a big of, maybe possibly, but with Jamal Murray and Gordon, they were a championship. They low key looked like a championship team, but with all Jamal Murray, no, no, they're
That's what I'm
they're
saying. This Jamal Murray is going to be this Jamal Murray injury. Praise up. I hope he comes back. It looking like we're going to see him next year, but it's going to be a real test to see if Jokic can do the show. You know what I mean? He's got Aaron Gordon beside him, so he ain't left high and dry. So I don't think we should make that many excuses for him, but definitely, I'm not a Jokic guy. I never have been, and I never will. It'll take a lot for me to be a Jokic guy. But what's your hottest take?
oh, you're gonna hate it. I've been waiting all day to say this. Joel Embiid is the MVP, and LeBron James is not.
Well, no, he's hurt.
Let me explain. All right. So coming into the All Star break, everybody,
Mm-hmm.
including you, said LeBron is the MVP. And don't give me the logic that LeBron James is hurt because Joel Embiid was hurt and he's just coming back from his injury. Now let's look at the season stats. Player one, 25, 8 and 8. He's been averaging it all his career. oh, he's 36. Yeah, he's 36, but he's been averaging the same thing his whole career. Player B, 30, 11, and 3 on 51% of shooting. And the 76ers have the number one team in the East. You know, no question, Joel Embiid is the MVP. And LeBron, he's just not going to have another one.
Yeah, I think LeBron's MVP time is over. I think he will legit. I think he could legit won one this season. Um, really, for sure. I think if he stayed healthy, he would be up at that top ladder. But the way these journalists are looking at Jokic, I don't see anyone else winning it but him. I think Embiid should win the MVP now. That Philly's number one, and LA, the Lakers have slipped. Do you know who I actually wish would win the MVP? And I don't think they would ever give him to him. But here's three names that I want to win the MVP in the West over Jokic.
Can I guess?
Yes. There's three players
All
that
right.
I don't know if they're more deserving, but I definitely want to win. There's three players in the West.
All right. Three players. Number one, Stephen Curry. Number two, Damian Lillard. Number
You said
three.
his name so far.
So I said one or two.
You said two out of three. You said two out of
Ah,
three.
dang.
But you've said his name so far in the podcast. The third one.
Jokic.
I wouldn't mind Chris Paul winning his first MVP over
Yeah.
Jokic. I wouldn't mind, but like Dame Dollar, that stuff's legit this year. It has been legit. But Steph Curry, I would be a fan of Steph Curry winning an MVP this year.
He's not though, man.
No.
He's not. He has a horrible team.
Yeah.
He has an abysmal team. Beside, Draymond Green doing decent. And the rookie, I think he's just out for the rest of the season with an injury.
Wiseman, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that team is horrible.
Yeah, but LeBron's done more with less. LeBron's done more with less. So you can't even give me on that argument. Actually, or here, I'll give you this discussion. Me and my roommate that we were talking about, and he popped up the question that Steph Curry was going to be a top 5 player when it's all said and done. And my argument was definitely top 10 for sure, like no doubt about it. I was like, but top 5, you're getting into some big names. Like,
I mean,
you're talking about guys match up against Jordan, LeBron, Kareem. I think Magic is top 5.
yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to scratch top 5. In my
But
opinion, he's top 20. Right now, he's top 20 on my list. But in his career, he'll at least get to 10, at least.
yeah, he's scratching top 10.
But if he keeps, Stephen Curry and Stephen Curry and doing Stephen Curry and Stephen Curry, and he may scratch 6. But I feel like my top 10 might not be touched for a few years.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll close the show out with we missed the trade deadline. Actually, we haven't done a show since. So I'm just gonna give you a couple fast. I want your opinions on some stuff. Isaiah Thomas coming back to the league.
I mean, it's nice.
Good, bad.
It's okay. It's nice to see him back in a uniform.
I'll say obviously he ain't the same Isaiah Thomas, but
Yeah, definitely not.
Boston Celtics have interest in him. I saw a report. I think Zion is talking about the Celtics or talking about the Pelicans. I think Zion's legit for sure. I was on the fence. Like I know the hype's there, and I was a big Zion guy going into the league, but now like for sure,
he's a monster, and he's only 6'6". He's a monster in that post.
It's a Barkley 2.0.
Yeah, I feel like this might be a hot take itself. If he was Shaq's height at 7 foot, that's Shaq.
Yeah,
that's Shaq.
And he can dribble the ball too. And he doesn't have he has a little hitch in his jumper, but it's not center bad. You know what I mean? Like it can do for being a power forward. It can do. Talking about the Blazers, we talked about earlier. How you feel about Damian Lillard? How he's been playing so far?
Mr. Dame Dollar, you need to know his name. He's probably gonna reciprocate the energy that he's been receiving. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith, probably one of the only journalists that is giving this man his props right now. He's doing his thing in Portland. Shout out to him, man. Shout out to him. He's a bucket, no question.
And then how do you feel about that trade? The Blazers acquired Norman Powell to give up Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. Speaking of the house that I live in, me and my roommate, we're not too fond of the trade. We thought that the Blazers should have kept Rodney Hood, being a good piece, and I think Gary Trent is a better fit in that rotation than Norman Powell is. But I guess they're gonna have to do for now.
That's an awful trade, in my opinion. That is awful. Hood was pretty decent. And I really like Trent Jr. I really liked him coming off the bench and watching him play versus the Lakers last year in the playoffs. I thought he did a pretty decent job on guarding LeBron James too. So I'm maybe an interim fan club for Gary Trent Jr. But I think that was a horrible trade, no question.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about Rodney Hood. He's a dude who has NBA Finals experience with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He has a lot of NBA playoff experience. So you're just giving that dude away as basically a throwaway piece for the Gary Trent Norman Powell trade. I don't know if I would have done that if I was the Blazers. Any closing remarks for today's episode?
I'm starting a Cade Cunningham fan club to the OKC Thunder. If he does not come to the Thunder, I say we riot. Presty, you got some. Presty, I say you bench Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for the rest of the season. Let's get this man Cade Cunningham. He's going to be one of the best prospects in the draft, in my opinion. Let's get this man. Let's go. Oh, Thunder up.
Do you got a team? If for y'all who don't know, Arrick lives in Virginia, which is one of the states that does not have an NBA team. So who's like your team? Because I'm from Cleveland. But I'm from a city by Cleveland, but obviously I don't root for the Cavaliers. I root for the Cavaliers to do good, but we all know how the Cleveland is. So, I mean, I would follow Russell Westbrook and LeBron James wherever they go. So, who do you root for?
Sadly, a lot of people that live in my family root for this team, and I will never in my life root for this team. A lot of guys and family members even root for the Washington Redskins. And I will never root for them. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan till I die. Also, shout out to the Thunder, as you said. And Virginia, that's another shout out. Shout out to Virginia, man. Y'all need to get us a team. We were supposed to have the Kings a while ago, but the deal fell through and all the other stuff happened. Sacramento Kings. If you ever want to do that again, shout out to Virginia. Let's make that happen.
We never talked about this actually. So, University of Virginia. Do you follow their football team at all?
I'm more of a Hokie guy.
You're more of a Hokie? Actually, the University of Virginia, their quarterback, Brennan Armstrong, the lefty, literally his high school is 15 minutes away from mine. We've been around him. He's hung out with us a couple times. I got boys who used to grow up with him. So that's a cool connection. But, yeah, I totally forgot about that. That just came up in my head, that connection. But
yeah,
definitely –
we're not Wahoo Waz over here. We're Hokies.
Hokies. All right. A good video idea that I thought about doing. Our next video is NBA duos. If you guys got any ideas of what me and Arrick should do on my podcast or his podcast, let us know. That's all I got today, Arrick. I'm glad you can come out and do this again, man. It's always fun talking with you.
Yeah, man, definitely.
All right. See you guys later.
This Crev's corner. The ball is in your court. Swish.